pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Clerk, call the roll.
Councilor Vigo. Absent. Councilor Avellaneda.
Present.
Councilor Recupero.
Here.
Councilor Garcia. Absent. Councilor Vega Maldonado. Absent. Councilor Robinson.
Here.
Councilor Rodriguez.
He's on.
He's there, I see him. Councilor Taylor.
Here.
Councilor Lopez.
Here.
Councilor Brown.
Here.
Councilor Zabit.
Present.
8 members present.
Okay. At this time, we're going to move on to the celebratory resolutions and memoriams. We have a resolution introduced by Councilor Robinson regarding Chelsea Soldier Home, Father Haley's 100th birthday.
I'd ask you to waive the reading. There's going to be a celebration at the,
Accept and file.
up at the home at the end of the month, and it'll be for a 100-year birthday.
So we have a acceptance under suspension.
Under suspension if there are no objections.
Seeing none, we'll move on to the next
And
item.
if I may ask to remove from conference the order in regards to approving the TIF. If there are no
Councilor Robinson
objections.
asked that we take out of order the, out of committee, out of conference,
Yep.
the order for the approving of the amended urban center tax increment financing agreement as presented between the City of Chelsea and the Joseph J. Cochran Company LLC. Is there any objection to the being taken out of order? Seeing none, Councilor Robinson, do you have a motion?
I'd ask for a roll call vote on the adoption. We had an earlier presentation tonight, and there wasn't many questions. And I'd ask for a roll call vote on the adoption, if there are no objections.
Do you have any comments?
No comments.
Any councilors on the order for the amendment of the TIF agreement? Councilor Brown.
Thank you, Mr. President. Just want to thank the presenters for coming up tonight and just giving us an overview. City Manager, well done job. Last week, he also prepared us for this conference that we had tonight, talking about an amendment of the previous agreement that we had with the Cochran and the Chelsea Housing Authority regarding the area down on Central Ave. We believe that it's very important that we start working in that area, start to attract businesses and residents and update the area there. Unfortunately, you know, when we came a year ago, we had an agreement, and since then we all ran into the COVID-19, and obviously there's some adjustments and challenges that we are now before us tonight that we're trying to meet those challenges so we can continue the direction of the city to improve the city, not just a certain area, but the whole city, citywide. And the presentation was great, gave us the knowledge of what and why that they were asking, and as the city manager stated earlier, it's not a lot of money that they're asking to amend to make this happen and make this work. Goes into a lot of the work that we don't see. So I'll be supporting this proposal tonight, and I thank you again for being here.
Any other comments? Seeing none, the clerk call roll.
A yes would be to approve, a no would be to deny. Councilor Vido, absent. Councilor Avellaneda.
Yes.
Councilor Recupero.
Yes.
Councilor Garcia. Absent. Councilor Vega Maldonado. Absent. Councilor Robinson.
Yes.
Councilor Rodriguez. Could he hear?
Yep. Councilor Rodriguez? I don't know if he can hear. Councilor Rodriguez? Yes or no?
Tom, give your
Hold on.
hands up.
Hold on. Technical. Yes or no? On the order to adopt the Innis project, yes or no? Can't hear us?
I think you call Lisa, because you need 8 votes for the capital improvement program.
Hold on. He can't hear anything. He's texting me that he can't hear anything. Can you hear us now?
This is the vote on the TIF,
Yes or no on the TIF?
yes. Yes? We can't hear.
Can't hear him.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear barely, yeah.
Hold on, let me try to fix it.
Give us a, yes.
Okay. Okay, that was that. And Councilor Taylor? Yes. Councilor Lopez? Yes. Councilor Brown? Yes. And Councilor Zabit? Yes. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 in favor, 3 absent. The motion is adopted.
Motion is adopted. We'll now move on to the public speaking portion of our agenda. Anyone who'd like to come and speak in favor of anything that's on the agenda tonight, please come up to the microphone, state your name and address. You have 4 minutes.
Hello, Susan Backstrom, 260 Clark Avenue, Chelsea, apartment 807, and I'm a disability commissioner. Thank you, Mr. President, city councilors, and city manager. First, for the opportunity to present Councilor Recupero with a loan of an amplifier. Second, let him know that I've looped in the Disability Commission, but it looks like he already has something that's working. You're okay. You're hearing okay now? Good, okay. Anyway, so guess that's great. Secondly, though the money might be available, the Chelsea Eats card by PEX actually expires in June of 2021. So if there's money after the next month, there won't be, the card won't work anymore for any of the people who have the Chelsea Eats card. So, even if they extend the program, the actual technology won't work past that point. I'm really grateful for it, and I know that the rest of the community really is super grateful for that. And thirdly, I think it's ID 21F53, the landscape, the proposal by Tom Ambrosino for the proposal of a landscape company to do some city cleaning and stuff, to do trash pickup and other things, and fix the way things are set up. And I stand in support of it for the following reasons. A, it could go to a Chelsea landscape company, which is Chelsea Jobs, which is, once again, what I was saying in the last time, is that it's just a really good way to invest in continued employment in Chelsea. And then B, it might be less expensive than the proposal that was that was brought before by Councilor Zabit, and I was in support of that, but I'm also in support of this because, you know, however we can get this done, the cleanup and parts, and reason number C is that the cleanup of our city is one excellent way to raise the expectation of the excellence of our businesses and also foster, you know, the health of our people and the health of our city, and it will protect people from pollution and things like that. So for those three reasons and for those three things, I've stood and spoken today. Thanks.
Hello, my name's Angie Prouse, and I'm here on behalf of Rivian. My address is 1366 Fifth Avenue, San Francisco, California, 94122. I'm here to speak on behalf of item number 21C36 with the amendment to the zoning ordinance to prep and repair electric vehicles. So Rivian is an electric vehicle automaker. We focus on sustainability and the promotion of exploring the world responsibly. So we are an adventure-seeking company. We have 3 automobiles currently in our program. It's an RPV and then 2 consumer vehicles, which is a pickup truck and an SUV. So the proposed address that we are looking to inhibit is about 27,000 square feet on 25 Griffin Way, and we would propose a service location at this property. So servicing electric vehicles is extremely environmentally sensitive. These are not hybrid vehicles. This is 100% electric, so there is no combustion engine. And some services that would be performed at this location would be things like windshield wiper replenishment, windshield replacements, tail light, door handles, things of that nature. So this is not an automotive repair in terms of body or collision. There will not be paint work taking place at this location. In addition to that, we're also going to go through what we call pre-delivery inspection. That's where vehicles are brought into the property, and ahead of us delivering them to our future customers, we're doing quality control check, making sure no damage happened while it was transported to this location, and really just making it perfect so the customer has exactly what they're looking for. So this, like I said, this location is approximately 27,000 square feet. About 3,000 to 4,000 of that square feet is going to be dedicated to front of house services. So things like break rooms, customer lounge area, office space, things of that nature. The remaining square footage would be dedicated to the service location. So that includes 2 post lifts, some alignment racks, things that we can actually raise the vehicles off the ground. So with that said, I don't know if you had anything else you wanted to add for the property?
You can't.
Thank you. Oh, if I'm complete, what do I, done? Okay.
My name is Milad Farahani, represent 25 Griffin Way, Chelsea. We're here to amend the zoning ordinance so we can allow for the use of the tenant that will be hopefully coming to the location. That's it.
Thank you.
I think I'll reach it. Thank you. Thanks.
How's that?
Thank you. I appreciate it. Yep, perfect. Sorry. All right. Good evening. My name is Monica Elias Orellana. I reside at 44 Prospect Ave in Chelsea. I'm here tonight to ask council to support the article 21F53 in favor of the appropriation of $200,000 from free cash to park maintenance work. I am a co-founder of Chelsea Hill Community, who is a resident group not affiliated with any organization that does community safety walks and cleanups. We go throughout the city to clean up different neighborhoods, including parks. Because of the pandemic, we weren't cleaning as often. I don't know, can you guys hear me? Or can I? Okay. We have reactivated after a whole year of pandemic and plan to clean up twice a month. We find so much litter everywhere. We have cleaned different parks as well. I know that the previous proposal was decline of hiring workers to clean up citywide, but I ask that the council prioritizes tonight this proposal of this allocation. Keeping the parks clean for the children is important. Just now, before coming to this meeting, I was at Vogue Park, and I saw trash, and my sister that lives right across on Washington Ave to Vogue Park said that there was a softball game or baseball game yesterday, and walking around the park, there was tons of trash, Budweiser, beer bottles. So I think it's really great if this proposal could help at least maintain our parks locally. Vogue Park, the park's not finished yet, but you see a lot of kids still hanging there, litter, and maybe it's been a citywide thing that we're trying to educate people, even through other groups that I belong to, like CET, the Beautification Committee. We know litter is a problem, and for decades, a lot of local folks, including counselors here, have tried to address this issue, and I think this might be just a small pivot towards that of the free cash. So I please ask you that you support the article that I completely forgot the number right now, but please support that for our community and the children's in the parks. Thank you.
Hello, good evening, City Council. My name is Celeste Williams. I live at 227 Chestnut Street. I'm here to talk about some things that I see in the parks as well as Monica, as far as trash and those things. But what devastated me today is what I saw from one of your DPW workers, as far as if picking up trash is a burden for them, and they're getting paid for it. And they dump trash all over the park, dump it in the truck, and leave the trash still in the park, and then come back and put the trash in the basket and sit it back there. It's not emptied. The park is not clean. That's KM Park I'm talking about, where I live. I've seen other parks around the city, yes. There is extra help needed in battling the trash. So the kids can't come out and play because we are loosening up on restrictions of COVID. More kids are going to be playing in the park. My concern, I saw kids playing in the park today, and is it sanitized? Is anybody really taking care of the parks and going in and making sure that they're wiped down, cleaned down, and sanitized? Because that's amazing to me how they just open the park and nobody's taking care of the parks. And that's the most I have to say about it. It's a big concern of mine. I can't do it alone. I'm just one citizen in this city, and there's a lot of people that are stepping up, like the CET team. They're doing wonderful things. Yes, we have to make sure our waters are clean around the coast of Admirals Hill and on. So our kids are playing, and we want them to be safe this summer. So taking in consideration that if the DPW is going to be supervised, and they are getting this amount of money, that someone is going to step up to the plate and supervise the project and make sure things are done correctly, please. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Teresa Englund from 109 Marble Street, and I also echo the Councilor Robinson $200,000 contract for cleaning the parks. We need the parks cleaned. We need every part of Chelsea cleaned, actually. but we can start with the parks, because they're horrendous. I know with the COVID and all that, that nothing could have been done, but now it's terrible. You walk by these parks and you see a mess, and it's really, really bad, and it's putting the city down. So I appreciate your vote on that. Thank you.
Good evening. That's fine. Good evening, councilors. I just actually want to echo what my two fellow residents just talked about. My name is Joan Crummell. I live at 38 Addison Street, and our park next door, Eden's Edge Condominium Park, was just renovated, and it's absolutely beautiful. Thank you for the investment, but the upkeep is even more important. The litter is horrible. It's daily, so just to keep a consistent following of picking up the trash and the litter, as well as just making sure that the wear and tear of everything that is beautifully put in place stays that way, because already the gate is falling apart when you open and close it, and kids are getting whacked in the head because it swings back on them. So that whole mechanism is really not working. So on that note, but I'm also here just to discuss the waiver for the DEI officer. And I just wanted to say that I felt like I needed to comment on, the questioning her dedication and commitment, and if she is invested in our community, because she moved 10 to 15 minutes up the street. She didn't move to Nahant, nor Newburyport, not New Hampshire, but Revere. Our next door neighbors, who we share memorandum of understandings with, as well as a city who faces similar, if not worse, equity and inclusion disparities as Chelsea. How on earth is she going to be removed and remissed from the day-to-day in our community when she is right across the street? Her professional expertise and commitment in diversity, equity, and inclusion, which is why she got the job, did not start when she accepted to come to Chelsea. In fact, wherever she lives, once she comes through the doors of her new 9-to-5, she will clearly see many inequities that exist in this very building and across the municipality. I am so glad this waiver was not yours to reject, because that would mean you would have to scrutinize where more than half of this municipality lives, starting with HR, Treasury, 911, City Clerk, Police, Fire, ISD, DPW, Treasurers. You would have to reject your newest hire to transfer. You would have to reject the transfer of hires, and also you would have to reject recent requests for waivers to live out of Chelsea for our employees that are already in place. Chelsea was not a requirement in the job description to live in Chelsea, and I believe we got the best person for the job. Now let her do her job. Let's not destroy her integrity and dedication in serving as our DEI officer before the woman even gets here. Let's face it, 1 North and parts of Admiral Hill is not the day-to-day in Chelsea neither. Thank you.
Is there any other speakers? Seeing now, no one, I'm sorry.
Good evening. Henry Wilson, 105 Beacon Street. I'm here today to talk about the COVID testing that we have in the city. Been going on for about five weeks with Cataldo Ambulance over here at the Senior Center. And we're getting a lot of residents, and as of this weekend, did about 5,000 residents, including students. And Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, we did a total of almost 1,200 people came through to get tested. And just want to thank the city manager, his office, Lourdes, as well as 4 from the Health and Human Services Department and the volunteers here at Chelsea City Hall for helping us out, as well as the Chelsea Black Community Organization. We're out there hustling, as you saw Councilor Zabit in the street hustling to get the COVID shots out here. So it's been a great success. I want to thank Tracy Nowicki from the Chelsea Senior Center as well, and all of the students who came through with their parents in the past couple of weeks. And yeah, so just want to thank everybody for helping us out and supporting us. Thank you.
Seeing no other speakers, we'll now move on to the next item on the agenda, which is the approval of the minutes. Do I have a motion from the council? Councilor Robinson?
Move for the adoption under suspension if there are no objections in regards to the minutes.
Councilor Robinson asks that we approve the minutes of the May 3rd meeting under suspension. Is there any objection? Seeing none, that order is moved. Next item on the agenda is a communication received from City Manager regarding the eminent domain taking of parcels for affordable housing. Dear City Councilors, in the recent council order, you requested that I provide you with a plan of action for taking by eminent domain certain contiguous vacant parcels on Shawmut Street, Suffolk Street, and Congress Ave for the purpose of developing affordable home ownership. Based upon a legal analysis, the city believes that utilizing eminent domain for the purpose of creating affordable home ownership is an acceptable public purpose for government taking. Given that determination, the plan, in quotes, for doing so is fairly straightforward. Basically, the city appraises the parcels, appropriates the necessary funds for the taking, approves an order for the taking after a public hearing, and then pays the promo tanto price to the owners. The appropriation vote for the taking requires a supermajority of 8 votes, Mass General Law, Chapter 40, subsection 14. If this is indeed the desire of the city, then the first required step is to hire an independent appraiser to value the parcels. In addition to the appraisals, we also recommend that the city hire a consultant to perform an initial build-out analysis of the parcels. This will enable us to provide the council with information with the scope and cost of affordable housing that could potentially be constructed on those parcels, thus allowing the City Council to make an informed decision as to whether taking, based upon the appraised values, makes economic sense to the city. Finally, although recognizing that this is entirely the council's decision, my administration recommends against taking of 1523 Shawmut Street and 212 Congress Ave. With respect to the Shawmut parcels, those are currently owned by T&D. Utilizing eminent domain to acquire parcels purportedly for affordable housing from an entity whose mission is to create affordable housing is a bit incongruous. As for 212 Congress Ave, that parcel is owned by the entity that recently acquired the large industrial parcel at 22 Willow Street for redevelopment. This 212 Congress Ave parcel could be an integral component of that redevelopment plan. So at the least, until the details of the redevelopment are more defined, we suggest eliminating the parcel from consideration. Based upon estimates, the city believes that the cost of both appraising the remaining parcels and conducting a preliminary build-out analysis will be approximately $75,000. I proposed an order for such an appropriation using free cash. I will commence the RFP process for appraisal and architectural services upon the approval of this order. What is the wish of the council? That communication is adopted under suspension, or accepted under suspension, rather. We have the next communication from the city manager regarding free cash request.
Free cash request. Dear councilors, I am writing a request that the city council approve an appropriation of $700,000 from free cash as part of an effort to extend our Chelsea Eats Food debit card program for an additional 3 months through Labor Day. The city's 1-month commitment will be matched by a two-month, $1.4+ million further commitment from the Shire Family Foundation, $1.3 million. and the United Way, $107,900. See accompanying letters detailing those grant awards. This will extend the program for 3 additional months, June, July, and August, and provide food support through Labor Day. The Chelsea Food Debit Card Program has been an extremely successful and efficient means of addressing food insecurity for almost 2,000 Chelsea families. Preliminary analysis from our academic partner, Harvard Kennedy School, suggests that the program has improved both the economic condition and mental health of its recipients. Further, assuming this $700,000 request is approved, the city will have leveraged approximately $1.5 million in city funds to secure over $4 million in philanthropic support for this 9-month pilot. For the above reasons, I respectfully ask that the City Council approve this $700,000 request. A draft order is attached.
Councilor Robinson?
Communication under suspension. There'll be some coming up on the new business.
Next item on the agenda will be a communication from the city manager regarding grant from the United Way for a Chelsea Eats debit card program. Dear councilors, the Shaw Foundation has agreed to provide the city with another donation of $1.3 million to the Chelsea Eats debit card program. This grant, covering approximately 2 months of the program costs, is being provided with the expectation that the city will approve a matching $700,000 appropriation to maintain the program through Labor Day. A copy of the award letter is attached in accordance to Mass General Law, Chapter 44, Section 53A. I'm requesting that the City Council formally approve the acceptance of this grant. A copy of the order is attached. Councilor Robinson?
Communication under suspension. There'll be some coming up on the new business.
We have the next communication received from the city manager regarding free cash request for La Colaborativas Chelsea Summer Youth Initiative, Employment Initiative.
Grant from United Way for Chelsea Eats Food Debit Card Program. Is that the one?
Sorry, I apologize. I read out of order. So we do have a communication regarding the grant from United Way for Chelsea Eats Food Debit Card Program.
Dear councilors, the United Way of Massachusetts Bay and Merrimack Valley has awarded the city another grant for support of the Chelsea Eats Food Debit Card Program. This grant in the amount of $107,900 will allow for the city to extend the debit card program into the summer. A copy of the award letter is attached. In accordance with the Massachusetts General Law, Chapter 44 and 53A, I am requesting that the City Council formally approve the acceptance of this grant. A draft order is also attached.
Councilor Robinson?
Accept and file as communication under suspension. There'll be some coming up on the new business.
Next item is a communication received from City Manager regarding free cash request for La Cooperativa's Summer Youth Employment Initiative. Dear councilors, I am writing in response to the City Council's request to supplement La Colaborativas Summer Youth Initiative allocation with an additional free cash appropriation of $100,000. Please note that my proposed FY22 budget includes a line item for the youth programs in the Recreation and the Cultural Affairs Department of $256,000. Included in that proposed appropriation is $165,000 for La Colaborativas Summer Jobs Program, an increase of $15,000 of the amount provided to La Colaborativa last year. My understanding is that by adding another additional $100,000 to this appropriation would allow for an additional 39 summer youth positions. I've attached the appropriate order to carry out this council request. What is the wish of the council?
Accept and file as communication under suspension. Something will be coming up on the new business, and actually, I would ask if we can get a copy of the sites where these kids are going to be placed this summer.
Okay. We have a communication petition to the council. Communications received from Brian Tilton from the WECO Group LTD regarding amendments to the zoning ordinance by 1, adding a definition of electronic preparation and repair, 2, amend section 34-300 table of principal use regulations by adding section C, commercial uses, electronic vehicle preparation and repair by special permit. Dear President of the City Council, I, the undersigned, herein referred as to the owner of the property located at 25 Griffin Way, Chelsea, Mass. Request the following amendments to the zoning ordinance for my district. Amendment 1, to amend Section 34-241 definitions of the Chelsea zoning ordinance by adding in alphabetic order a definition of electronic vehicle preparation and repair to read as follows. Electronic vehicle preparation repair means structures or lots used for the service of electronic-powered vehicles, including tire changing, wheel alignment, hardware replacements such as door handles or tail lights, windshield, wiper fluid replacement, software updates, and pre-delivery review of each vehicle prior to delivery to owners, but not including painting or major repairs. Amendment 2, to amend Section 34-300, Table of Principal Use Regulations, by adding in Section C, commercial uses, electronic vehicle preparation and repair allowed subject to the issuance of a special permit by Zoning Board of Appeals in the Industrial, i.e. I District, and not permitted in any other districts, to read as follows. Electronic vehicle preparation and repair, R1, no. R2, no. R3, no. BR, no. BR2, no. BH, no. Business, no. Shopping center zone, no. P, no. WU, no. W, waterfront, no. Industrial by special permit, light industrial, a no. Light industrial 2, no. Naval Hospital residential, no. Naval Hospital commercial, no. What is the wish of the council?
Accept and file this communication, also move it to conference. If there are no objections.
We have two communications via email that you'll all have a copy of. From Laren Demko, 7 Laurel Street, Chelsea, Massachusetts. I'll read it.
I don't have it.
It was a communication sent today. Sorry, Thursday, May 13th at 12:57 p.m.
I don't have any copies.
Is there a request to read the emails?
Read the, yeah. Read the emails.
I don't have it.
Is there objection to me reading the emails? None. Dear City Council, this is from Lauren Demko, 7 Laurel Street, as part of the, to be read as part of communications, or rather public comment. Dear City Council, I'm writing to express my disappointment in the decision not to fund a temporary employment initiative to employ Chelsea residents to perform park maintenance and landscaping duties in the city of Chelsea. I'm requesting that this initiative be reconsidered as an integral part to support the Chelsea residents and families that need it most. As a low-income community that was hit particularly hard during COVID, I can't imagine a better use of funds than by supporting our residents to get back to work, help financially support themselves and their families, learn new employable skills that can help them find permanent job opportunities, and to give these residents pride and sense in a place of keeping our city clean and well-maintained, which will in turn encourage their family and peers to help do the same. A win for all of us in this city. I understand that the new proposal to hire contractors in lieu of temporary workers comes as a lesser monetary expense, but I believe this is a short-sighting planning. Allowing our residents to earn wages to support themselves and their families not only reduces the need to provide ever-increasing assistance, but also instills a sense of pride in their community, which will reduce litter, vandalism, and violence. Knowing something cares that will take care of you encourages to give back. There's no difference if the thing that cares and will help is a person or a community. The rewards are the same. I am tired of hearing, "It's Chelsea, what do you expect?" as a negative statement. It's time to stop thinking that Chelsea is a dirty slum full of entitled, low-income, transient residents, and start thinking of Chelsea and acting on that thought as a clean, beautiful, vibrant place full of history and residents from all walks of life who take care of their community and whose community takes care of them. This is the first step towards that path. I encourage you to rethink your decision to utilize contract workers and instead fund a temporary employment initiative. Thank you for your consideration. Lauren Demko, 7 Lawrence Street. I have a second communication from a Doris Mojica, address Prattville, but she did not state her address. As such, I will not be able to read that, but we'll provide a copy of that communication to my colleagues so that they have it.
Accept and file.
Yeah, move to accept and file the communications under suspension. If there are no objections.
At this time, we'll ask if there's any committee reports. None. We already took out of conference the other item. We already took out of conference the other items. There's no other items to take out of conference.
No,
Yep, we'll just move on to second reading.
Under second readings, appointments to Board of Health. Dear Councilors, pursuant to Section 4-2 of the Charter of the City of Chelsea, I'm ready to recommend appointment to the Board of Health of Mr. Joshua Merson, 4 Ferry Street, Chelsea, to serve the remainder of the term of Emmanuel Telez, who has resigned. This term expires on December 20th, 2023.
Counselor Brown?
I make a motion to adopt this under a roll call for a vote tonight, please, Mr. President?
Clerk, call roll.
Yes.
Yes to approve.
Yours to approve the appointment of,
Councilor Vido, absent. Councilor Avellaneda?
yes.
Councilor Recupero?
Yes.
Councilor Garcia? Absent. Councilor Vega Maldonado? Absent. Councilor Robinson?
Yes.
Councilor Rodriguez?
Yes.
Councilor Taylor?
Yes.
Councilor Lopez?
Yes.
Councilor Brown?
Yes.
Councilor Zabit?
Yes.
8 in favor, 3 absent. Motion is adopted. The second order under second readings order introduced by Councilor Robinson, order that the Chelsea City Council authorize the appropriation of funds in the amount of $200,000 from free cash to FY 2021 DPW Structures and Grounds Contract Service Account for park maintenance work.
Counselor Robinson?
I was asked to move this to a conference. Actually, I did have a conversation with the Commissioner Fidel, but I know some of my colleagues didn't have a chance to meet with him or have any conversation, so I was asked to move this back to conference under suspension if there are no objections.
Seeing no objection, that is moved to a conference.
The next order under second readers is the Capital Improvement Program loan order.
Counselor Robinson?
I'd ask for a roll call vote on the adoption, and actually, this order will take 8 votes. And there are 8 of us here.
Yes.
Hopefully, we'll all be in affirmative.
Any discussion?
We are voting in favor of the loan order for the previous approved capital improvement project. We need all 8 to state yes for passage.
Any discussion, Ray?
No discussion?
No? Roll call?
Roll call. Oh, sorry, Counselor Brown.
No, Council Brown. Thank you, Mr. President. I just want to thank the city manager for continuing to keep us abreast of some of the most important pressing projects in our community. These projects that are in this capital improvement program does not cover everything that we want in the city, but it's some of the most important projects, I believe, that was clearly thought out of our addressing and meeting the priority and updating them. So I'll be supporting this capital improvement loan in the full amount. Thank you.
Councilor Vido, absent. Councilor Avellaneda?
Yes.
Councilor Recupero? Yes. Councilor Garcia, absent. Councilor Vega Maldonado, absent. Councilor Robinson?
Yes.
Councilor Rodriguez?
Yes.
Councilor Taylor?
Yes.
Councilor Lopez?
Yes.
Councilor Brown?
Yes.
And Councilor Zabit?
Yes.
8 in favor, none opposed, 3 absent. Motion is adopted.
We have an order introduced by, new business. We have a resolution introduced by the council, the whole council, regarding the capital improvement plan FY22, FY26. Do we have a motion on the floor? Councilor Taylor. Motion to adopt on roll call?
Yeah, motion to adopt under roll call vote if there's no objection.
Councilor Taylor asked that we have an adoption of the capital improvement plan resolution on a roll call vote. Councilor Brown.
Again, this is a lot of work. Our city charter requires that us to look forward. This is a 5-year forecast. Again, we come here and this adoption will cover some of the things that we thought was very important to our city, some road work, some maintenance, some just really getting the nuts, the bolts and everything tightened up in our city and making sure that we've been doing a lot of sidewalks and a lot of pipe work. So you've probably seen a lot of digging. I know I have. It's been somewhat of an inconvenience. But hopefully within the next 5, 10, 15 years, you'll see the fruitfulness of this work. So I want to thank the city managers and the staff, City Hall for making this possible. Thank you.
Next order on the, the clerk call a roll. Yep.
Councilor Vido, absent. Councilor Avellaneda?
Yes.
Councilor Recupero? Yes. Councilor Garcia, absent. Councilor Vega Maldonado, absent. Councilor Robinson? Councilor Rodriguez? Yes. Councilor Taylor? Yes. Councilor Lopez?
Yes.
Councilor Brown?
Yes, I'm glad to vote for it.
Councilor Zabit?
Yes.
7 in favor, none opposed, 4 absent.
Just to clarify, because this was a resolution and not a financial order, it just needed 7.
Majority vote is required.
Majority vote. Yes. Next order is an order introduced by Councilor Taylor and Councilor Lopez regarding the city manager to update the council on the enforcement of illegal dumping and tickets being levied. Councilor Taylor? You have the floor.
So recently, we've had some examples of illegal dumping in the city. I kind of look at this as a separate issue than the trash, although the trash is also pretty bad across the city. But I think that that's another a separate issue. I would like to have some information from the city manager regarding how many tickets we've actually handed out for illegal dumping, what the current fine structure is. I know that I looked up the state illegal dumping laws, which were up to $5,500 per incident. So I just think that this is something that I'd like to see if we can try to put a stop to. I think that if we're trying to be proactive instead of reactive, it's always more efficient, more effective for the city to be proactive and try to make people understand that they can't just dump stuff on a thoroughfare. And so on this last incident, a resident called Councilor Lopez, a resident in my district, because she knew him, and then called and talked to me. And so together we're offering up this order to get some information on what exactly the city's current policy is on illegal dumping and what we can do to be more proactive about educating people and also enforcement. Thank you.
Councilor Lopez?
Yes, thank you, Councilor Taylor. As you said, I got a call from one of your constituents regarding a big tank of gas that was left on one of the streets up in Prado. And according to what she said, the gas tank was open, so she smelled the gas, so she went there and closed it and tied it up. And yes, there's been a lot of dumping around. A while ago, somebody from Rosendale came and dumped some debris on Grove Street. Thankfully, there's a camera there, and I called Fidel, and Fidel called the police, and they checked who was it. It was a guy from Rosendale who came and dropped that stuff here. It's crazy that people from other places come to dump all kind of debris in Chelsea. And I'm glad and happy that we're doing this together, and hopefully we get some information and how much is the fine that people are getting. Are we getting anybody when they're dumping stuff, or what can we do? Try to educate people that Chelsea is not a place. We're going to continue to raise the fines if we have to, so in order to stop that. Thank you.
That motion passes under the suspension.
As a yes vote.
Okay. I'm sorry?
Can I speak on the order, Lopez?
You may speak on the previous motion.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'm glad they brought this attention. I'm glad Councilor Lopez also spoke about the cameras. We've had, when I was a district councilor years ago, we had some of the same type of dumping going in, and we got frustrated. And one of the things we did was we sat with the city manager, back then it was Jay Ash, and we got where these dumpings were taking places. And we put up some secret cameras there, and once you put those secret cameras up, we were catching folks right away. So I think we should have a conversation with the city manager and talk about where these things are taking place at, and we see some reoccurrence of these dump sites, then we need to prioritize them and start trying to figure out why these folks are coming in from other communities and dumping. One other aspect of that was it was not that expensive if you got caught here in Chelsea. So I'll be interested in see what the fees are as of today. Thank you.
Councilor Recupero.
I agree with my fellow councilors. For years, this city's been the dumping grounds of everybody coming in and dumping trash. Maybe this one will make them stop, come to a city and dump trash.
Seeing no other speakers, that motion is carried. We're now moving on to the next order, which is an order introduced by Councilor Lopez that the city manager, along with the city solicitor and the city parking clerk, contact the companies of delivery vans and trucks to remedy the situation when delivery truck is blocking the entire street and cars have no ability to go around them. Councilor Lopez.
Adopted under suspension, and I would like to speak about it.
Seeing no objection, you have the floor.
Thank you. Yeah, lately, with all this COVID pandemic, a lot of people are ordering packages online. So these companies, DHL, UPS, FedEx, Amazon, Uber, even ice cream trucks, right? They block the streets. The other day on Shamrock, there was a DHL truck delivering packages. He parked right on the middle of the street. He didn't care, and there was about 15 cars behind him. I think we have to stop this. We have to let these companies that are, you're doing business here, but at least look for a place where to park and leave a space for people to get by. So please, I hope, we can get in touch with these companies and to remedy all this traffic. Thank you.
That order passes on suspension. Now I'll move on to the next.
The next order, introduced by Councilor Abdullah, ordered that the city manager and staff present a plan on acquiring the land and pilings at 215 Marginal Street with the intent and purpose of creating a waterfront public access pier park.
Do I have an order or a motion to adopt under suspension? Councilor Rodriguez moved that we adopt this under suspension. If there's no objection, I'll speak from the floor. Seeing none. To my colleagues and to those who are out in the audience, I have introduced this order. If we're not familiar with 215 Marginal Street, it's actually not even land. It's a bunch of pilings that have been left over from what may have been or was probably a dock many years ago that is located on Marginal Street. If you drive along, you'll notice Carboni Metal is located along Marginal Street, is the waterfront area in front. And I know that there's an order tonight here about, from a continuation of a previous order that I had asked about land taking in order to create home ownership, affordable home ownership opportunities. And there is also been talk about some development, commercial development at a local, the latest ZBA meeting in hopes of creating green space. And it's tough to talk about having those discussions about trying to create green space and at the same time be a community that needs affordable housing. I understand they're competing and they're both very important. And I think that in order to have a vision or, be able to try to take both, we have to get creative. And I know that several years ago, there was an idea or an attempt to look at this very same property and hopefully garner some goodwill from large trust funds from outside the city to try to recreate what East Boston has, which is a Piers Park. That we go out and try to take this land and create a park that's similar to what East Boston has, creating a park on the water. And why I think that this would be a much better time to go after this is twofold. One, we know that the local waterfront zoning plan that we just adopted doesn't allow for housing on the water, particularly one that is in the water-dependent zone, DBA. Also, the coastal management zone wouldn't allow us. So, but it would allow, possibly, from what my conversations with the city manager and planning and advocates, is that they would allow a access point for public use. And I think that we should go out and ask the city manager to take another look at this and have a possible idea or a plan to acquire this parcel again. Maybe it's back to the same thing of where they're donating this land or something along those lines. And with the idea of going after those very same trust funds and institutions that didn't pay us any mind 4 years ago. And I think that Chelsea, for better or for worse, because of what we just went through with COVID, has gotten a lot more sympathy and attention, from the entities in Boston. And we can make a much better case of why we deserve to have those same waterfront parks that Boston has, that other communities have, that we deserve their attention, and I think that we can make a case here. So I'm asking the city manager to come back to the plan that he looked at, like I said, 4 or 5 years ago, and see if we can't come back and make a waterfront park for our residents and a bunch of what is currently unused pilings. So I'm hoping that the city manager will come back to us with some sort of idea or plan, and I think my colleagues can get along on top of this, and we create a much better waterfront area for our residents to enjoy. Thank you.
Next order introduced by Councilor Robinson, order that May 20th of each year will be recognized as Chick Corea Day. On each May 20th, a resolution recognizing the late Chick Corea Day will be introduced by the Chelsea City Council.
What is the wish of the council? Councilor Robinson?
Actually, I do have an amendment to that order, and I'd ask for a roll call vote on it. And actually, it's whereas Chelsea was at the loss when Anthony Chick Corea, who grew up in Chelsea and went on to become a superstar in the music industry, passed away on February 9th, 2021. And whereas Chick Corea was born in Chelsea, Massachusetts, attended the Williams School, Chelsea High School, his sophomore and junior year before moving to Everett, Massachusetts. And whereas Chick always held a very special place in the heart for Chelsea, and he stated that when Minna Cara Marino and Leo Robinson awarded him with an honorary diploma from Chelsea High School, even though he had one from his last year at Everett High. Now therefore be it proclaimed that we, the members of the Chelsea City Council, wish to proclaim May 20th, 2021 as Chick Corea Day in the city of Chelsea, Massachusetts. And I'd ask for a roll call vote.
Are there any other speakers? Councilor Brown?
Thank you, Mr. President. I'm a little confused here. The first order that I have is here, and it seems though the second order, it's a lot more detailed than what this is. Is it feasible for us to look at is this you're trying to get done this year? Because today's the 17th. We're 3 days away from the 20th. I just have that question.
Through the chair, Councilor Brown is asking Councilor Robinson if this is something that would be immediately recognized this upcoming May 20th.
This is an amendment.
It's an amendment
The amendment,
to the original order.
And if I can provide an explanation to my colleagues, if they allow me from the chair. All of you know that we have a deadline for any orders and resolutions so that it can be placed on the agenda. In order for the agenda to have this to have this order placed on the agenda, Council Robinson wrote a very quick order or a resolution naming this, with the idea that once he had a better description and words in honor of Chicoria, he could replace the order. So it basically was that the order that you have in front of you was a placeholder order so that it would make the agenda and follow the open meeting laws by having it in place. He did not have the actual full resolution because he was still trying to think up with the words that he wanted to place on the resolution. So there's the definition.
So that's why I said what I said. I don't have a problem supporting the order. I just, it goes from, usually when we make an amendment, it's 1 or 2 lines. It's a paragraph now, so I'm not sure if folks knew. So I don't have a problem supporting. If it's clear through the chair and it's clear through the city, I'll vote on it.
It's just it's a longer description of the life and contribution of Chicoria.
Roll call.
Through the chair.
Through the chair.
The reason that I put the amendment is because when I wrote up the amendment, it was beyond the time to be able to get on the agenda. So therefore, I did an amendment to be able to introduce tonight.
To introduce it as an amendment.
As an amendment.
So it makes it proper. You want a roll call,
I want a roll call, please.
Yes, Mr. President, yes, I understand that, but it's almost like you said, it's a placeholder. It's not what he truly intended. What he truly intended is the amendment that he's putting in tonight. So he put this in to hold it. So I just
in order to meet the May 20th deadline, otherwise your next meeting's afterwards.
Okay. All right, if it's fine, if it's okay, I'm asking a question.
Okay. Councilor Vido, absent. Councilor Avellaneda?
Yes.
Councilor Recupero? Yes. Councilor Garcia, absent. Councilor Vega Maldonado, absent. Councilor Robinson?
Yes.
Councilor Rodriguez?
Yes.
Councilor Taylor?
Yes.
Councilor Lopez?
Yes.
Councilor Brown?
Yes.
Councilor Zabit?
Yes.
8 in favor, none opposed, 3 absent. The amendment carries. The motion is adopted.
The next item under the agenda, under consultation of the city solicitor, will be ruled out of order.
Out of order.
We'll move on to the next one.
This one introduced by Councilor Recupero. The next order introduced by Councilor Avellaneda, ordered that the Chelsea City Council authorize the appropriation of funds in the amount of $75,000 from free cash through the FY 2021 Housing and Community Development Contract Services account for appraisal and consulting services on the following properties: 46 Suffolk Street, 50 Suffolk Street, 50 Suffolk Street, 52 Suffolk Street, 68 Suffolk Street, 72, 74, 76, 78, 90, 98, and 100 Suffolk Street, and 212 Congress Ave.
Do I have a motion on the floor?
There are no objections?
Councilor Robinson asked that we move this to a second reading. Seeing no objection, we move currently.
Next order introduced by Councilor Avellaneda, order that City Council hereby accepts and approves the Shah Family Foundation grant in the amount of $1,300,000 for the public purpose of funding the Chelsea Eats Food Debit Card Program.
Councilor Robinson?
There are no objections?
Any comments from the council? Any objection to me making comment from the floor?
I have a question.
Oh, Councilor Taylor.
Mr. President, if you could just ask the city manager, is this current grant by the Shaw Foundation and the subsequent grants and the appropriation that's coming up, is this, what's the time frame that this is supposed to fund?
So according to the communication provided by the city manager, we are accepting these grants. There are three orders relative to Chelsea Eats program. We have two orders, or rather two orders that we are accepting two grants, one from the Shaw Foundation in the amount of $1.3 million, and another from the United Way of Massachusetts Bay and Merrimack Valley grant in the amount of $107,900. There's a third order that is a transfer of free cash in the amount of $700,000, but that will take two readings. These acceptance actually there's a roll call vote tonight. So we only need one, but there will be two votes or two readings of the free cash transfers as we normally have them. These acceptance, these grants, the acceptance of the grants are conditional that the city does match, and that we would have to pass that $700,000 free cash transfer. So in total, there will be an amount of nearly $2.1 million going into the Chelsea Eats program, and that will fund it up until September. So if Councilor, at this time, if anyone has any questions, I will ask the city manager to address this, if you want to have a clearer understanding.
I do want to address the timing issue, because the timing.
Can you want the microphone? Thank you.
So the timing issue is important. It's important for you to vote this tonight, because I need to make, if we're going to do a June distribution on June 1st, this would have to be voted tonight, because I otherwise don't have money for the June distribution. And the other part of this would pay for a July 1 distribution, and the city council's, my request to the council for a $700,000 appropriation would pay for the August 1st distribution.
Mr. President, if you could ask the city manager if he envisions this program going beyond September?
I don't envision it going beyond September unless there's an infusion of state money specifically to do a program like this. But I think this is the understanding from the city and our philanthropic partners is that Labor Day is the end of this pilot.
Mr. President, I would just like to note that if there's any further beyond September of this program, I think this needs to go to a conference to discuss any other future appropriation.
The expectation is it's terminating as of this distribution in August.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? So we are now going to do a roll call on the first order, which is the Shaw Foundation and the acceptance. $1,300,000.
Councilor Vido, absent. Councilor Avellaneda?
Yes.
Councilor Recupero? Councilor Garcia, absent. Councilor Vega Maldonado, absent. Councilor Robinson?
Yes.
Councilor Rodriguez?
Yes.
Councilor Taylor?
Yes.
Councilor Lopez?
Yes.
Councilor Brown?
Yes.
And Councilor Zabit?
Yes.
8 in favor, none opposed, 3 absent. The motion is adopted. The next order introduced by Councilor Avellaneda. Ordered that the City Council hereby accepts and approves the United Way of Massachusetts Bay and Merrimack Valley grant in the amount of $107,900 for the public purpose of funding the Chelsea Eats food debit card program.
Councilor Robinson.
I'd ask for a roll call vote on the adoption, if there are no objections.
Seeing no discussion, the clerk will call a roll.
Councilor Vido, absent. Councilor Avellaneda?
Yes.
Councilor Recupero? Yes. Councilor Garcia, absent. Councilor Vega Maldonado, absent. Councilor Robinson?
Yes.
Councilor Rodriguez?
Yes.
Councilor Taylor?
Yes.
Councilor Lopez?
Yes.
Councilor Brown? Yes. Councilor Zabit?
Yes.
8 in favor, none opposed, 3 absent, motion adopted. Next order introduced by Councilor Avellaneda. Order that City Council authorize appropriation of funds in the amount of $100,000 in free cash to the FY21 Recreation and Cultural Affairs Department Youth Program for La Colaborativas Summer Youth Employment Initiative Program.
Councilor Robinson?
I'd ask to move this to a second reading under suspension if there are no objections.
Next order is the order to the City Council authorizing appropriations of funds in the amount of $700,000 from free cash to the account 3503-497100, COVID-19 funding, transfer from the general fund for the purpose of funding the Chelsea Eats Food Debit Card Program. Councilor Robinson.
I move this to a second reading under suspension if there are no objections.
Seeing none.
And the last order introduced by Council Avellaneda, Amendment 1 to amend Section 34-241 definitions of the Chelsea zoning ordinance.
Councilor Robinson asked that we waive the reading. It was previously announced, so you make a motion to
Move it to conference.
I made a motion to move it to conference.
move the conference and to the planning board for a
Planning board.
recommendation
Yes,
and schedule a public hearing.
schedule a public hearing.
That's all your orders.
That concludes all our orders tonight. At this time, I'll ask if there's any councilors who have any announcements. Before doing so, I'll announce one that I am aware of, two actually. This Saturday at noon at the Island, what do we call it? The Isle End River is a major cleanup that is being sponsored by the city. We're asking everybody to please help out in this cleanup. We suggest you do not wear any clothes that you like. That means please be sturdy boots and such. We will be providing the rest of the materials or equipment such as gloves and whatnot. But it's definitely going to be muddy, dirty, but well worth the effort to beautify that part of our harbor walk, so to speak. I believe Councilor Zabit has a event, on the 27th, May 27th, at 5 p.m., there will be the fifth annual now, planting of the American flags in Chelsea Square in memorial for those observers for Memorial Day. And we ask that anyone who wants to volunteer to help plant those flags in Chelsea Square in the raised grass area, please join us that day. And I believe Councilor Zabit has an event also in the morning of the 22nd on Saturday. Well, you can announce it, though. Hold on. We also have a flower box program that is occurring on Saturday at 9 a.m. They're creating flower boxes around the city of Chelsea. I do not have I believe it's starting in Bellingham Square, if I'm not mistaken. But there are other details provided. There is an event on Facebook to provide other details. Are there any other events? At this time, we'll also take moments of silence. I wanted just to state that our colleague, Melinda Vega, is not here with us. She is in Philadelphia right now. Her husband and Chelsea officer, George Maldonado, unfortunately lost his father, and I want to make sure that our condolences are with the Vega Maldonado family. His name was Antonio Maldonado. Councilor Recupero.
I'd like to have a moment of silence for Mrs. Fabrizio. She lived in Congress Ave for many, many years, her whole life, and she was a great woman, and she'd be sorely missed within the community.
Councilor Brown.
I'd like to have a moment of silence for Lillian Dixon, who passed away on May 11th. Just a fine woman who's been here for a long time. Last few years, many years up in Ambrose Hill. Her son, Howie Dixon, used to work here at City Hall. Some of the old-timers remember Howie. Used to work here in the city office, at the parking clerk's office. And she's about to turn 100 years old, and she passed away. So condolence and prayers to that family.
Councilor Rodriguez.
Diamond from District 7, longtime resident.
Please rise. Thank you, everyone. That concludes our meeting tonight.